Hi everyone. I'm sure you were probably getting ready for the narration to get started today, and this is definitely a different format from anything that I have done up to this point. I know you're all probably itching to get into another story or a continuation for one of the previous stories we've been following. However, I felt with the changes and milestones that we've reached, I wanted to take a day in dedicating this with a different type of video. As some of you might be aware, we finally hit 1,000 subscribers, and for me personally, this is such an amazing goal to accomplish, and to be honest, it took quite a lot of time getting things going, as I personally didn't have a lot of motivation in myself, and I felt rather nervous to get started, as I wasn't sure this was going to be something that I enjoyed, or potentially it was going to be something that I stuck to doing a video or two and ultimately gave up on. I have learned over the past few months that things like these really do take time to hit the ground running, and once you finally start seeing enjoyment, nostalgia, and a general sense of happiness from others, that is really such a worthwhile experience to see. Now, let me save the waterworks and thank yous for the end of the video, as I would like to address some things about myself, as well as some interesting things for the community as well. To provide a bit of information, many of you know me as GroggyTales or Groggy, while others that know me more personally usually call me Grog or Greg. I'm currently 24, and I have always felt to have some sort of passion with my voice and overly active imagination. That said, as a wee lad or young sprout, I'll be honest. Horror and scary things in general used to make me absolutely terrified. I have one main memory from my childhood that sticks out because of this. So my grandma used to watch me as a child before school, and I would spend a lot of time there. She was and has always been a fan of scary movies, shows, and stories, and one day, she was watching the original Stephen King's It movie, and it had just started. I walked out to the living room and sat down, only to watch a little boy in a raincoat lose a sailboat, and then ultimately he was eaten by Tim Curry. Sorry, Georgie. I was absolutely terrified. I ran back into my room, I grabbed my toys, and set up what was essentially an army to defend myself. Little did I know that this crazy fear of mine would turn into a passion for loving all things horror as an adult. And to this day, I've had countless experiences with movies, scary stories, and an overall sense of being spooked. As most things don't really scare me anymore if I'm being honest, which is definitely only a half-truth, as I've lived near large woods my entire life, and I still run back into the house when it's dark outside and completely silent. Because let's be honest here, when it's completely dark outside, who knows what is watching you? But anyways, hopefully this provides a bit of insight with my background into horror, and I can honestly talk for hours about different types of things, so to save this from being a 10+ hour video, let me transition into the next section and explain why I decided to do this in the first place. So, GroggyTales was a project of mine that I was batting around for quite a while. I would say close to a year or so before even getting the channel started or anything narrated. I had always been interested in YouTube and making videos or streaming from a young age, and while I have made videos and have done things in the past to get my presence out there, nothing really stuck for me. I would start a project and then ultimately stop, not to mention ask everyone to critique my work rather than look at something, try new things, and experiment. I ultimately took the leap of faith into narration back in December and started to record my voice. Did some basic editing here and there and posted to this little site called YouTube. Little did I know, I would find so many friendly faces, encouragement, and ultimately people waiting on the edge of their seat for a new release and continuation into these stories. Being able to bring people together and create enjoyment with my words has always been a goal of mine, and I think I finally started realizing that this was something I was potentially good at when I started being consistent, trying new things, and then ultimately not giving up hope on myself. And with that, I should also say that I wanted to use this horror platform as an outlet for myself as well. Going back to that active imagination, I find that being able to create worlds and adapt to stories is something that I find to be so magical. And ultimately, it makes me happy to be able to put someone in the shoes of that hero, or to be able to see the struggle or emotion that comes from being chased by a big, mean, scary-looking foe. With that also being said, I am using this platform as a way to break into the voiceover industry as well, as my personal goals would be to read narrations for stories through Audible, potentially do commercials, or maybe even a cartoon character, if I can work up the courage to not feel embarrassed for sounding strange. However, I suppose that is all in good fun as well, and at the same time, I'm able to create a new challenge with each recording as I try to find ways to convey character emotion, work with accents, or potentially jump from different characters in the same take. This is something that I strive to get better at, and I feel with every new entry that we do, I definitely have been able to do just a little better every single time, whether it's the microphone presence, the audio cutting or editing, or even the videos when attempting to fit proper music for the tone, or videos that can provide context clues or imagery to the feel of the content. Overall, it has given me so much motivation to continue, and I can honestly say that I think I have found something that I can continue to be passionate about. Now, for the fun part. The big giant thank you to all of you that have stuck with me from the beginning, as well as the new subscribers and viewers that have found the channel through different means. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you that has commented with something nice to say, or if the story has scared you, or even was able to bring you back to the good old times. All of the comments have touched me in many different ways, but I wanted to give a big thanks to Greg Tanner for this one. He says, "I'm 55, and I listen to stories like this on late night radio. You brought back some great memories. Thank you, friend." This right here is exactly what I was going for, and I am so glad that I've been able to create a space for all of you to unwind and enjoy, as that is definitely what this is all about. So from the bottom of my heart, you all have been helping to give me the encouragement to actively follow my dreams, and for that, I want to say again, thank you. So, with everything we've covered so far, I wanted to touch base with one more thing before I go, and that is viewer questions. I think I would like to do something like this anytime we potentially hit a milestone, so I think the next one will be right around 2,500 subscribers, and then we'll do another one at 5,000, and so on and so forth. With this, I ask that if you have any personal questions for me, or things that you would like to know, I'll try to answer these to the best of my ability, and I received a few, so I'll go ahead and read these for you now. Now, if I do mess up any of your names, I do apologize. So the first question comes from Rena, and they asked, "Do you have a favorite type of story to read, like creatures or aliens or humans?" Now, to be honest, this is a pretty tough question for me, as I love a lot of different types of narrative work. I would say that my two favorite genres would probably have to either be horror, of course, and also fantasy. I'm a big fan of grim tales, magic, knights, and anything relating to medieval fantasy, which is probably also why I'm such a big and strong supporter of Dungeons & Dragons and stuff like that. Now, this being said, I'm also a pretty big fan of werewolves and vampires, and while not always the same avenue as Twilight, I can still respect the different variations of those. And as for horror stories, I think my favorite area of horror would have to be with national parks, nature, and those types of tales, as one true fear that I'm sure we all have to some degree would be the unknown. And this may also go for the depths of the ocean as well. Cryptids such as Bigfoot, missing persons cases like the ones that are told in Missing 411, and just strange occurrences altogether happening within wooded areas definitely has me very intrigued. Rena also asked, "Do you have a favorite story you've read?" Now, if we're talking about narrations that I've personally done, I will say that the Kin series that we have been covering has definitely kept me interested in wanting more. I love the feel of a cult society living in a remote town on the mountains, and overall, it's just been such a fun experience to read and also let loose with the craziness of the Mundies. So some of the other notable narrations that I also really liked would be that government lockdown story that we finished, and I would also say the claim that a lot of you probably found the channel with, the Park Ranger series, which, if you haven't heard that one yet, I'll link this in the description as it's such a great story to listen to. As for stories that I have personally read myself, NIGHTLORD by Garon Whited is my all-time favorite novel, and was actually one of the first books that I was recommended as an audiobook. So just to give you a little bit of a background, it follows a teacher who ultimately becomes a vampire, and from this point, without spoiling too much, he opens a portal to another time period where he has to deal with creatures, a religious order that's trying to take him down and banish him essentially, all while trying to learn and keep himself alive with his new changes, essentially being undead. So if you're looking for an epic fantasy, I highly recommend this one. I'll also post a link to this story in the description if you're interested. And just one other side note, Garon, if you're listening, I would really love to narrate the NIGHTLORD series someday with your permission, so I will keep this as a dream. A man can hope, right? And then Like Button asked, how many experience points did that take to unlock? Now, I assume they mean for the community posts, and to be honest with you, I actually did not know something like this was available for the channel, but I do believe that this was unlocked at right around 600 subscribers. It could have been more, but since I'm not 100% sure on it, let's say it was somewhere around the 600 mark. Well, I think that covers all the questions for now, so if you do have any more, feel free to post them in the comments on this video or any of the new ones that we do. I'll read and answer as many as I can for those next couple videos, and depending on if it goes over well, maybe we'll do a question and answer at the end of each video if you guys would enjoy something like that too. Well, I think we're getting close to wrapping up this video for today, so again, I just wanted to thank everyone for all the support that you've shown me up to this point. We've grown the community quite a lot in such a short period of time, and I wouldn't be where I am today without the support of everyone, so again, it means so much that you all can find enjoyment with these stories. So if you stuck through the entirety of me rambling, congrats. I have two other quick things that I wanted to mention. So I have some other social media pages for my work, such as a Facebook page and Twitter. I'm going to link these in the description as well if you'd like to follow the content and also connect with me on those platforms. And one other thing I would like to say before finishing this off, if you have any real-life horror stories or accounts that you would like to share, or even fictional stories such as horror or fantasy that maybe you've written, I would be happy to take a look at these and see about narrating them as well. So feel free to send an email contact if you'd like to connect with me this way. Also with that, I think we've covered everything that I was looking to say in this case. So again, thanks everyone. Very happy for the support, and I will see you next time for another tale. Stay safe out there, and take care.